Hey everyone! There we go. Hey everyone! It's Pepper and Crystal from Blogging Tidbits. I'm Pepper from Pepper Scraps.
And I'm Crystal from tidbitsofexperience.com.
So, today we are talking about how to keep your branding consistent, and that includes visual branding and also your voice, because the voice is very important branding as well. And I want to start out with a really awesome quote. It's from Seth Godin, and he says, "Your logo is a symbol, a reminder of your brand, but your brand is a story, a set of emotions and expectations, and a stand-in for how we think and feel about what you do." And I thought that was a really awesome quote. I think Crystal actually found the whole blog article from him, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the best way to describe branding, because a lot of people will get confused on whether branding is like a logo or if it's something more, and it is something more. So let's see what we got going on here. So today, I think we're going to start with visual branding. And the first thing we're going to talk about is logo, because we've been talking a lot in the group about logos and things like that. I've been seeing a lot of questions about it, like how to make my own, things like that. And there's a few things that you need to remember when you have your logo created or you create your own logo. I don't usually recommend creating your own logo, not even just for the sheer fact of you may not have the right programs to make it, but also sometimes having an outside person giving input will make a big difference. But your logo should be a vector. A vector is a rasterized image, so basically it means it can go anywhere from like a favicon on the top little, tab to really big. Imagine a billboard. So it can go any of those sizes, and it doesn't affect the quality of the logo. Your logo should only have around 3 or 5 colors at most, though there are exceptions to that. Crystal's logo is a very good example of that, right, Crystal?
Definitely.
Oh, I don't know. Did you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Our little mini addition is here. We have a couple mini additions, right? And my kids may walk in because they are out of school now, so they may walk in too, just so you guys know. But your logo has more than 5 colors, if I remember right.
Yes, I'm pretty confident it does too.
Yeah, but you do work on only using a few of those colors in everything else, right?
Within the theme itself, yes.
Yeah, so those are just kind of accent colors, and it works with the style of logo she has. Your logo should be simple. You should be able to shrink it to a really small size and still be recognizable. You can have multiple versions of your logo. So if you have one that has some more details to it, when you get it, you want to be able to pull it apart. And that's the nice thing about a vector, is you can actually pull elements out of it. You want to have a version that has that detail, but also has one that's more simplified that you can shrink for different things. So colors. So colors are another part of your brand, your visual brand, and they're really important because you have to remember that colors have emotions and meanings to them. So you want to consider the psychology of the colors that you pick. Did you pick the colors, Crystal?
No, the designer that I had before did mine.
Okay. So go ahead.
But he did have the guide of wanting it to be a neutral color and stuff like that, because of me having both male and female bloggers on my blog.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, that's one thing to consider, is if you're going to add somebody into your blog, do you want to have very feminine colors? Now, I have pink in my thing, and even though my blog is a lot about our family, and you'll even see that my family is on our cover photos for our social media, I try not to overuse the pink because of that. It still works, though, because kind of the pink is my branding with my hair. And my husband has no issue with it. So he doesn't mind as long as I don't put the pink on him. Let's see. So you want about 3 to 5 colors, and you want to make sure you don't forget the neutral colors, like Crystal was saying. When her designer was working with her, they were considering neutral colors. Oh, she means neutral in like feminine, masculine, but I mean also neutral in the sense of like whites, creams, browns, things that are very subtle, because you'll want those in your blog designs. So should we do some of the psychology of the colors, Crystal? Should we share some of that? So red means passionate, active, exciting, bold, power. It's a power color. So pink means love, calm, respect, warmth, feminine. Let's see. Assertive, sensitive, nurture, possibilities, unconditional. And, oh, I didn't give you, so some of the people who use red in their logos are Lego, Kellogg's, Coca-Cola, Nintendo, Pinterest. Pink, Barbie, Cosmopolitan, I think Roxy. Let's see, Victoria's Secret is another one. Purple means deep, creative, original, individual, fantasy, respectable, wealth, compassion. And the people who use these in their logos are like Yahoo, Hallmark, Cadbury, different people like that. And then, do you want to do the last 4, Crystal? Or I'll give you the last 3. I'll finish one. Are you set?
Yeah, I'm set. I think I got it set.
Okay. So navy means trust, loyalty, authority, confidence, peace, success, calm, responsible, control. And the brands that are using a navy color are Facebook, Reebok, Tumblr, Gap, which I can see Gap being trust, kind of. You know, like you trust that brand.
Oh my gosh, can I? I've
Isn't that
used
funny?
Gap my whole life. So
Facebook, I don't get the whole trust thing with their color, but I don't know if I consider their color navy. I consider their color blue. Yeah, I'm using definitely a list, guys, so.
Okay. Hold on.
You want to do green?
Okay, do that, Ziva. All right, we got green, which means balance, growth.
Aw. Poor Ziva. We love you, Ziva.
All right, growth means.
Okay, I tried.
Green means balance. Balance, growth, restore, sanctuary, equilibrium, positivity, nature, generous, clarity, prosperity, good judgment, safety, stable. And the brands that use it are BP, Holiday Inn, The Body Shop, Tic Tac, and John Deere. I can't even pronounce that. Starbucks.
Lacoste. I think it's Lacoste. And Starbucks.
All right. Now, blue means spirit, perspective, content, control, rescue, determination, self-sufficient, modern, goals, aware, purpose, open, ambition. And the brands that use it are Internet Explorer, Intel, Blu-ray, Disc, Skype, and WordPress, which all are very fitting. And I have to throw this in. I am sorry for all the interruptions with my kids. It's just my kids are always with me everywhere I go, no matter what I'm doing. So they are automatically there, and I can't avoid that right now with the life that I have right now.
No,
orange.
I think that's a perfect example, though. And that's how it is. And honestly, I'm surprised my kids are not up here. I'm actually a little worried they have not come up.
Orange means instinct, warmth, gut reaction, optimistic, spontaneity, extrovert, social, new ideas, freedom, impulse, motivation. And the brands that use it are Fantasia, Orange, MasterCard, Bitly, Blogger, Nickelodeon, and MasterCard. And if you look, my primary colors are blue and yellow and pink. So, and the reason why I believe he chose those colors for me is because of the fact that I wanted to have the purpose and open the content, the spirit. And I said pink, calm, respect, warmth, feminine. And then the green, which is overall color across the whole thing, would be the safety, because I wanted to pull in the past abusive situations I've lived with. And that's one of the reasons why those are my primary colors.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you'll notice there's not yellow actually on here, and that's because yellow is very hard color to make consistent through all platforms, all screens, because you got to remember that screens use red, blue, and green, and they don't use yellow. So yellow can look different on all different kinds of screens. So, and yours is kind of a orangey yellow. It's a good yellow.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful using yellows. Actually, and I didn't even think about this. I don't think about psychology of colors. I think because it's like kind of been part of my life for so long that it just kind of flows out of me. But my colors are pink and blue and a burgundy color, which it could fit under red or purple. But it kind of actually still fits because it's like pink is a lot of like family color, like, you know, love, calm, respect, warmth. And I try to do a lot of family stuff. And then blue is like spirit, you know, open, ambitious, aware, which is another kind of like how our family kind of lives, is we're just kind of out there and fun and crazy. So it actually fits in there. So when you're looking at your colors, you want to look at your dominant colors. Have we had any comments? I haven't even looked.
Just somebody saying hello. That's it.
Okay, yes, please say hello if you're watching. We want to say hello to everyone. And if you have any questions, I think it's on the side, right? On the right side, there should be a box where you can ask questions and things like that. So make sure that you ask questions about these things, because we want to make sure that you're understanding what we're talking about. We want to make sure that we're answering all your questions, things like that.
So, and fair warning, when I do my portion, you're going to be answering questions from me.
Okay. My notes are covering the question area, so you'll have to watch it. Okay, so when you're considering your colors, you want to have a really dominant color and then a call to action color, so very eye-catching, things like that, and then accent colors. So I think like my dominant, actually on my blog, the pink is not my dominant color. That's actually my call to action color. My dominant color is the blue teal color. And I want to say, Crystal, is yours the blue teal color as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then what's your call to action color? Do you know?
No, we went to blue color, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what we chose. Blue color. Okay. So another thing that you want to think about with your visual branding is photos. So not only is like your logo and your branding on your theme part of your visual branding, but also your photos, the photos you take, you know, consider when you're doing those using the same filters. If you're using stock photos, try and use the same feel in all the photos. So when you look through photos, you'll notice some are very dark, some are very light and bright, some have really bright colors. So you want to stay very consistent with your photos, how they look throughout your blog if possible. Now, if your branding changes, that photo style might also change. And there are trends in photography. Right now, trends are actually going from really light and bright to very dark and moody and emotional. So it's very interesting right now. We're in this like shift of photography. So you may see that with stock photography as well. And you use stock photography. You use the Dollar
Photo Club.
Dollar Photo Club. And you guys, my tribe uses them, and I actually am now addicted, and that is one thing I'm paying for right now because I love it. I don't use photography from there. I use vectors from there because I do for my graphic design. But because I try to make sure that all my photos are very consistently my style, because that's part of my branding, is to have my photos my style. So I don't use very many stock photos. If I do, I try to make sure it matches my style, but that can be very hard. Oh, when you're doing your photos for your blog, I do this. I make a template in Photoshop where for all of my photos for on my blog. And I actually have a couple templates. So I have one for multiple photos, and I have it laid out all the same, and I just drop all the photos in, I change the text, and then I go. And then I have one for just big photos that has the title at the top. I write in, and I use always the same fonts for me. And then I have one for my blogging posts, because my blogging posts are not obviously very photo heavy, so they're more text on a background. And Crystal, I think we created one for you in Canva, right?
Yes, we did.
Have you been still using that?
I use it on some posts, but not all posts, but some.
I think we need to make you more to fit some of your other categories, right?
Yeah, we do. Because there's some that Canva doesn't fit where I need it to fit.
Yeah, so, but did you find that helped you with those posts that you do use it on?
Oh, yes, definitely. Especially since I'm not image friendly yet.
And that is something I could do for people, is I can create templates for them if they need. Do you find that that's working for you on Pinterest? Because that's one reason I say stay so consistent, is I do it for Pinterest.
Honestly, my Pinterest traffic still hasn't increased. I
Okay.
still get most of my traffic from organic and direct.
Okay. So I want people to be able to recognize my pins, and that's one reason I use a template. My theory behind it is people will be like, oh, I trust this blogger. I know this is a good blogger, versus some of the spam that's out there. And they can instantly recognize my content versus the sea of content that's out there. So that's why I use a template. It's my own theory that I'm working on.
Doesn't hurt to try.
Yes.
Especially with the ever-evolving.
I think it works. So, so other things to consider for your branding is, like, I want to say, like, textures and patterns and small elements. So even like the little things, think about what you want to use. Like, I use some of the same patterns throughout my posts now. If I'm using a pattern on a picture or on one of my pinnable images, I try and use the same patterns to, again, have that consistency in branding. So a great place to find patterns, I didn't look this up, is it subtle? Say it. Can you say it for me, Crystal? You know what I'm talking about? Did she freeze? Subtle pattern. I'll have to put it in comments. It's one of those words that, like, I see it in my head and I can't say it. Subtle Patterns is an awesome website for finding really nice, simple patterns that look really nice on a lot of things. So if you need some texture, look there. Pick out like 2 to 3 that you want to use, even just one, and keep using that through all your stuff. And that gives you that consistency, and people start relating that pattern to you. It's kind of a cool thing to try. And then small elements, like if you like using the little HR bars, the little breaks, you know, have one specific one that you've created for just you and that you use consistently. If you want to have a signature at the bottom of your thing, make sure you have a really nice one that matches your branding and fits together with your logo, same fonts, things like that. I skipped fonts. We need to talk about fonts. Fonts are really important to have. You really pick out 2 to 3 fonts that you want to stick with consistently through all your branding. So in your website, you should only have 2 to 3 fonts that you use on your website. You should have one that's a very simple, basic, readable font for all your text. You should have one for your headlines, and then you can have a third one if you want for other headlines. And that is really hard to get used to, like putting those fonts together. There's some great guides on Pinterest that we might share in the group to show you how to put those together. I know a lot of you guys have worked on doing that, and some of you have figured it out. And so it takes some time to figure out how to put those fonts together, but it does work well once you get it. And having those 2 or 3 fonts that you know and are comfortable with putting together will help make your products look better too, because you're used to those 2 fonts and fitting them together and making them look good together. So you can, I know a lot of bloggers like to use multiple fonts on their pinnable images to try and fit the feel of the photography and stuff. I would debate either way. Either you can do it to fit what your photo is, or you can fit your subject is, or you can fit it to your branding. I personally like to fit it to my branding. Let's see. So what things should you brand? Your social media channels. And you want to make sure that all your branded cover photos are the same across all your platforms if possible. Now that means it'll take some work because they are all different sizes. Crystal, could you share that link with them so that I have a link to 12 Skip, who has a really good article on all the different sizes for cover photos for 2015. And watch and listen and make sure that sizes don't change from, Google Plus has changed it multiple times. Facebook has changed it a few times. If you hear it has changed, update your cover photos. And try and make sure that your cover photos are the same across all your social media. That way, people will instantly recognize it. And that's the great thing about a logo, is that it's a way for people to instantly connect with, oh, that is so-and-so. And you want your cover photo. Go ahead.
I've also added in my YouTube video of how to use Canva for making your social media headers with ease.
Oh, awesome.
Because Canva already keeps the sizes for social media covers. So you just go through and add that, and it's already set up for you.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome. So they have templates for all of them?
Right. And I showed that in my video, but it's there.
Okay, that's awesome. And the one thing I like about Canva is that you kind of have templates, and you can make your own templates, so that way you can save how one thing looked, and you can kind of, change it to, like, so imagine you make your cover photo for YouTube, but you used your photo on it, but you changed your headshot. If you have it saved in Canva, you can go back and just change out the headshot. Versus PicMonkey, you have to start all over again.
Right. And we're also going to suggest that you get business cards and other digital media like address labels and stuff like that for your blog. Now, I did this one before I did the theme change. To see these address labels, I got them to go with my blog. And believe it or not, address labels with your websites on them do attract more traffic. And people like to look at them. Can you see it, Pepper? Is it clear enough?
Yeah, can you bend it a little bit like this?
What do you mean by like that? Let's see. Is that better?
Yeah. Hold the top towards me. Oh, there we go.
See? And those were created, and I actually got to review these labels from iCustom Labels, and they did it custom ordered, exactly the way I wanted it. Now, again, this is before I did the theme update, so I got to order some more, but it makes a huge difference, and they're not that expensive. And
I like those. I need to do that.
And then, of course, you can go to Vistaprint and get business cards custom made. There's another business card company that will actually do your logos and your design and how you want to do it. Now, I would recommend, if you're going to do business cards, get a business card that's unique to you. Like if you talk about movies like I do, I would do like a DVD. with a case on it or something like that. That way it's in the shape of a movie or the shape of a video game. So it's getting the attention of those that want to do it with my logo on it or something along those lines within the same branding, color, theme, and font as what you already use everywhere else. That's just a personal suggestion, because when your business cards are unique, you're going to stand out more. So that helps with your branding. That helps with what you're doing.
Yeah, I love those. That's an awesome idea. And honestly, I don't mail very much, but I should still have them on hand.
Right. And especially when you're going to blogging conferences or going to events for media. So there's a lot of companies now that are actually paying for bloggers to go to these different events that they're hosting, and you can meet different other PR representatives while you're there. So you need to have this information on hand. You need to be able to, and you're going to have to send off expense reports and stuff like that. And granted, you might not send them via mail that much. Can you hear her, or is it just me?
I hear her a little bit. It's not bad.
Okay. So those are important things to have on hand. And if you're going to start working with local companies, you want to have letterheads of all your things that you can offer those companies and have it available to you. And local companies love to work with bloggers. It's just a matter of getting out of your comfort zone to go out there and work with them.
And when you have those things, it really does actually make you look more professional when it's all branded together. And then they're like, oh wow, maybe this blogger really is like a professional blogger. Because there's this mindset that bloggers aren't professional. It's getting better, right? Do you think it's getting better, Crystal? It's getting better. Yeah, but there's still some old school advertisers that will be like, really, bloggers? And you have to, the way you're going to beat that is showing them that you're very professional.
Another thing that you might want to consider doing is getting a car magnet. A lot of companies the companies that make car magnets or vinyl covering, they love to work with bloggers. I get emails from them quite often, and I've already done quite a few blog reviews. So far, the best one has been, I can't even remember the name of it, but it's Build Something. I'll look it up, but it's still the best one I've worked with so far for making car magnets. There's all kinds of different ways that you can brand yourself offline, and a lot of people only think about what's online because that's where your main focus is, but you can market way beyond the internet.
Yeah. So the things that you want to consider having branded is a business card. I do design business cards, and I design them so that they're very unique to you. Oh, I could show you mine. So this is my business card.
Looks good.
So this is the front, and this is actually specifically branded to promote my YouTube channel because I went to a vlogging conference and I wanted that really up front. And this is the same as my cover photos for my social media. And then on the back, this is all my social media. Oh, upside down. It's backwards to me, guys, so it's hard for me to tell what's going on. So I have all my different places that they can connect with me, and I have to redo it because I have to add Periscope. But, actually, I mean, these are great. You don't have to have all of these connections. I just did this because it fit on the back of my card. And because if you want to really grow a specific area, or you have one area that you're really strong, then those are the ones that you want on here, because this is going to be first experiences with people. Now, I'll tell you, I normally don't say put a photo on it, but I'm kind of changing my mind now. Do you have business cards?
I don't have any current ones that are current, but no.
Did you have your photo on them?
No.
Okay.
But it is recommended now to have them with your photo on it. So
yeah, my issue with having the photo. So here's the con of having your photos on the business card. I've changed my headshot since then.
Yeah.
You change your look more than you're going to change your business cards, but I have a freaking probably 990 business cards left with that old headshot. So guess what? I'm just going to stick with it. So, because I actually have a printer that I use, and they do large quantities. So, but it's cheaper for me to buy from them in large quantities than it is to buy from a traditional printer. So, there's that story. Address labels, like Crystal mentioned, was another one that you want to try and brand. Letterheads, have a letterhead. Even if you just have a file set up that has a letterhead that you just pull in when you print your letter or something. Product labels. If you are selling any kind of products on your blog or anything like that, you want to have a product label really branded for you. And it just came, oh, what was I just thinking? I was just thinking there was another thing. Oh, don't you hate that when it totally like flies out of your head?
Yes.
I was thinking letterhead, and I was thinking having that printed. Oh, your printables. You should have like a consistent thing that you write on your printables. Now, I actually change it with the font that is on the printable itself, but I always have specific things. I write what the name of my post was on it. I write, that this is copyright for personal use, things like that, and I always make sure that that's always on all my printables. And so that is another thing you need to think about, like on print materials, is bringing your brand into everything. Maybe I should put my logo on them. That might be a good idea.
Yes, it would be.
These small things. So digital materials, things to have branded for digital. Media kit, your email, like your newsletter, you want to make sure that matches your brand. So make sure that you have the colors that are in your logo, the hex numbers, so that you can have those in your newsletters.
Speaking of newsletters and branding,
yeah.
One tip that I would highly, highly recommend is picking out one layout for your newsletters that you use across the board, and use that setup every week for every newsletter. Because, like, for example, for me, we get the Amy newsletter. Amy, what's the name of it, Pepper? You know what I'm talking about. Amy newsletters.
Amy Lynn. Yeah.
Andrew's newsletters. Her newsletters are set up the same every time. And she gives you a little bit of an announcement, and then she goes straight into her tips for the week. And I know exactly where I'm going with that. Whereas another big company that I get newsletters from is Ubisoft, and it tells me what games are coming out and what items are available for use. But I know where to go exactly in those emails every time they come in, so I can quickly read them. Most people don't actually read your emails 9 times out of 10. But if you can get them to open those emails and they can see that, oh, okay, well, this is the current giveaway she has going on for the week, I can go straight to those if they're interested in just giveaways. Yes. And if they're just interested in other stuff, they can go to those categories on your newsletter. So that makes it easier for them to read what's important to them and why they signed up. And I would suggest doing a survey to find out what's important to them and why they wanted to sign up to start with.
Yes, okay. Mama Cat has vlogger tips that she sends out. She also sends out blogger tips, and she has these vlogging prompts in them. And I always open up her emails because I always want to jump to that. I skip everything else, but I still go to that one thing. And so you got to remember, when people are opening your newsletter, you want to make sure there's definitely at least one thing that's like really, like, they're going to want to open it for this. And having it in a consistent spot will make sure that they know exactly where to go, so it doesn't take them as much time to try and search for it. You want to make sure you brand your banners, your buttons, all those kind of things. I remember a lot of bloggers who had buttons that looked completely different than their blog because they hadn't updated them. You want to make sure that you always update those when you do your designs. Make sure that they're consistent. Ads. If you're creating ads for other bloggers to put on their website for you, then make sure that those ads match your look of your blog, and make sure that they match your colors and your photo style. Anything that you have on them, make sure it matches your style.
Where's Jimmy?
I would say that also, like, I'm just thinking, like, you got to remember that. Oh, this is one thing, and maybe this fits under voice, which we're just about to go to. So maybe I'll just mention it once Kristen starts talking about voice. But talking about the stuff that you share on your social media.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed some of that.
Would you consider it part of your voice? as far as like the things that you share on your social media?
Yeah, everywhere you share, regardless of where
Okay.
you're at, whether it's your blog, your social media, whatever that is. Okay.
So I was going to conclude talking about the visual branding, that there's so much more to branding than just visuals. Branding is your voice, it's your style, and the most important thing is it's what makes you unique. And that's where we'll lead into talking about voice
Okay.
branding.
One thing I wanted to ask all of you who are watching, since we still have a few people watching, in the comments, tell me, what do you think of when you think of the Nike checkmark? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Please share that in the comments, please. I want to hear your input.
Do you
I'm
want
giving
me
them
to?
a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead and add yours.
Let's see.
I know Angie's here.
Oh,
I
I
know
see
Miz
you.
is here. I know Jennifer's here. I'm looking for comments from y'all. What do you think of when you think of Nike's check mark? What comes to mind?
Nike is actually a local company here in Oregon.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I've gotten accidentally onto their campus. It was really funny. That's a funny story. While they're doing that, I'll tell you it. Okay. So I was driving to work one day, and I totally was not paying attention, and I took a wrong turn. And I turned into the Nike campus, which is like completely like huge hedges, and like, so I get into the street, and I'm like, oh crud, what did I do? And they actually have a guard and like this like arm thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I get out of here? Because it's not a street where you can turn around. There's like a huge berm through the street. I get up to the guy, and he's like, okay, so what are you here for? And I'm like, I took a wrong turn. Can I turn around? And he looks at me, he's like, yes. I'm like, I wonder how often that happens to him. So I go in and I start turning around, and you can see they have limos all lined up in there because they must have been having some kind of special event. To top it off, here I am in my little Toyota turning around so I can leave as they have this huge event there. It was pretty funny. I've also done that with Adidas.
All right. Well, Angie shared the sneakers. Everyone knows that swish. And you said, I think Nike, just do it, perseverance. Everything Nike has done through the years has been all about getting people to be active, doing sports-related activities, and getting the confidence. I look away and I'm not interested because of the people that represent them. I can understand that, Ms. But in the same token, they do a great job of presenting their overall theme. They present their idea of what they want you to do, which is get out and get active. So when you think of the voice brand, you think of what you're saying, what you're doing, and how you're doing it across social media and in your blog posts. So for example, like, I'll just use my blog. I am Christian oriented, but my husband is not. He thinks he has a different mindset than I do when it comes to that. So it's hard for Tidbits of Experience to have a unified theme and a unified voice, but it's us. It's still us regardless. Just like with Pepper, she's all about healthy living and healthy fitness and getting back on a healthy track. So for her, it would make absolutely no sense for her to share a dessert covered in sugar and calories for her blog, because that would take away from her voice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I've talked to other bloggers about that, because I don't do a lot of those share threads because of that. I'm very specific on making sure that what I share is healthy and things that I would actually do or eat or things like that. And it does become hard sometimes when you're sharing other blogger stuff.
Right. And it's also hard when you have to look at your opportunities that you're given. Does it fit in with your voice? Does it fit in with what you're wanting to do as a blogger? Those are all the things that come to mind when I think of voice. And it also comes into with the logos and the branding and all that, and that's still part of your voice. I was going to say something else. Oh, what's the emotion that you give off? Like, are you primarily a funny blogger, or are you a blogger who's more serious like me, who wants to cover those big heavy duty topics in a serious manner? Now, are you going to be the one that someone turns to for a good laugh? Like, for example, when I think of a good laugh, I think of Scary Mommy and all her blog posts, because I'm a mom that struggles with kids, and I'm looking for somebody to make me laugh about all these little incidents that I live with. So I love
Exactly.
Scary Mommy for that reason. Whereas if I'm looking for homeschooling advice or homeschooling things to do that's all serious, I'll go to Enchanting Homeschoolers. Those are just things that come to my mind. And do you use the same greeting on your videos? Well, I created a greeting for my videos, and now I'm finding that I use that as my introduction. So it becomes another avenue of branding and voice. What else do you think of, Pepper? I don't know. I feel like I'm
I
repeating the
actually
same thing.
close my, so I've been trying to do closing my periscopes and things like that. So the thing with the periscopes is they're really weird with closing, because most of the time when I watch people, they're like talking and it ends because of just how the stream works. And so I've been closing my periscopes with saying, I'm going to say goodbye now. And I say bye-bye, and I say goodbye, and then I close it. That way, if it ended a little early, they still hear me say goodbye without me being cut off. But it's kind of become this branding thing where I'm doing it consistently now, and so it's kind of a way for me, people kind of just remember it as being me. So voice can also be like how you look, right? Like, we were kind of talking about this, like some bloggers even dress so that they are always consistently, is Crystal frozen? No, she's not. You're just listening to me.
Yeah.
So I know some bloggers who have a consistent look to themselves, like, you know, the whole 50s look. I have the whole bright color look. So some bloggers have a consistent look that fits with their brand as well. And oh, one of our tribe mates was starting to buy clothes that matched her blog colors.
Yeah, Heather. She got
Yes.
her daily do-it-yourself change.
Yes. So she changed her colors to brown, pink, and white, and that kind of stuff. And so she started realizing she started buying clothes that way. And I was like, just do that, because when you're wearing those colors and stuff, it reminds people about your blog. So if you go to events, that's kind of important.
Yeah, it is.
I have one blogger, and I don't think she does it to match her blog, but I always remember her about this. Like, every time I see her, I'm like, oh, what is she going to be wearing this time? Because she always wears these beautiful big pieces of jewelry. These, like, what do you call those? Those statement pieces? And I know her because she does that. Like, I like, instantly I'm going to think, what is she wearing this time? And they're always animals and things, and she works for the zoo, so. But they're beautiful, and instantly, like, it makes me start thinking about her if I see big statement pieces, or, you know. So that's kind of a voice thing too, is just having something that's unique to you.
I'm here. Just had to get the kids in line. Okay. The voice is always just having a consistent voice across the board is very important. Just like having a consistent logo and branding as far as colors and themes and stuff like that. Do you have any final questions for us while we're here live?
Yes, Ange was talking about, I run into that problem. I try to put a happy face on the blog and don't want to add that when I'm feeling down. Now I do something really important to talk about, like what to do when you're not your voice because of circumstances, maybe. Because I run into that issue too, where, you know, things become busy and hectic, and, you know, let's face it, we all get, I fight depression sometimes. and you run into that, like how do you stay happy on your blog when you're going through those things?
And that's really hard to do. I know some bloggers who literally had to stop writing altogether for a while because it didn't fit with their theme at all. And they just couldn't get happy. They couldn't do it because the depression was eating them alive at the point. And
Yeah.
I can understand that 110% because I fight depression every day of my life. And this happens to be one of those worst cycles for me is this time of year. But that's...
Yeah, I think I'll either take a break from blogging, but sometimes I think it's really important that even if it doesn't fit your voice, it fits part of your life, and other people need to hear that it's happening to someone else, right?
I agree.
And you know, you could proceed like a blog post where you're like talking about life, which I think I've actually done this blog post a few times, where I'm like, I'm just going to talk about life right now, guys. So this is going to be a little bit different, and just let them know this is not going to be the typical voice of the site, and let them know what's going on, because a lot of your readers, if you're doing it right, feel like they're your friend. And your friend wants to know what's going on in your life, even if it's good or bad. And you may be surprised that a lot of other people needed to hear about it. Sometimes I talk about the negative side of losing weight or trying to be healthy, things like that. I usually do it in more video form because it's hard for me to write about it. But if you are a better writer when you're that way than a talker, then write about it. Worst case scenario, you could write about it and not post it too.
Well, that's true.
What do you think, Crystal?
I agree.
Yeah.
Because writing is good for the soul.
Yeah, because I find I actually have some stuff on the backside of my blog that I never published for a really dark part of my life. And so I do write sometimes, but I purposefully wrote it knowing that it would never go live. And, you know, there's times that you want to do that, because obviously as a blogger, one of the ways for you to express yourself is writing. And so if you get like a regular journal and you write by hand, or you write in your WordPress but don't ever publish it, those are options, you know, to express it. But on the other hand, really think about whether or not you want to publish it, because it may make the biggest difference in somebody's life. And I know multiple bloggers that have done that, like written amazing articles just sharing their heart about what was going on in their life. And those posts will actually go viral for them. Not that you want to write a post to get it like that to go viral, but it went viral because there were so many other people battling that. I just let's see. I'll look and see if Ange. I always wonder. Ms. Helen said, "I always wonder about that and never know exactly what to put out there about personal issues. It is nice to hear others' thoughts on this." So here's my rules for putting stuff out in public. I am actually very public with most things. The only time that I don't share things, because you got to remember, no matter where you put it, even if it's on Facebook, guys, it is still public. Do not consider Facebook not public. I have specific rules for things that I will not share online because it can be Googleable. Health issues, that could be a health issue, like that could be a detriment, like if a business Googled you, it could be a detriment in the sense of health insurance is a little bit different now, but it used to be, you know, health insurance had specific rules. Basically, think about if your kid, your husband, or you were looking for a job and that business Googled them, what would that business think? I have debated whether or not I want to write about some of my son's life going through some learning disabilities, because I find that a lot of parents don't share unless their kids have severe learning disabilities, and one of my sons has just minor ones, just to make him borderline. And I would have appreciated having someone to go and read their blog about that. So do you have rules, Crystal, about what you share, what you don't share?
I actually don't share a lot of things, but yeah, I do.
Yeah.
If it can't be said in front of an employer, then no, I'm not going to share it.
Yeah, that's basically what I usually try and do. And that includes your kids. So you got to remember that they're going to live in a very digital world, and most likely all of their employers will look at their Facebook, will look at their social media accounts. Well, some companies are making people open their Facebook to them before they will hire them. And I suspect that will become kind of consistently always happening for our kids. And they will Google them. So you got to remember, when you do share things about your kids, it's going to be Googleable. That's like the bedwetting stuff, and that Crystal, like there was a company that was trying to have bloggers share about that, which on part of me, I'm like, I almost want people to share that because I think a lot of it's hidden, but on the other hand, you don't want it Googleable with your kids. Right?
I agree 100%. And that's where stock photos come in so handy, and choosing your words carefully. You got to be able to just not pinpoint a certain kid or pinpoint a particular instance in your life, but use...
Like potty training, I wish, my kids are a little bit older, so I wish people had told me that potty training can last longer than you realize. And that it's consistent like that. Like suddenly I had like every single sister-in-law and friend tell me, oh yeah, that's normal. And I'm like, oh really? Wow. So, and then like even my mother and like grandmother, like they all knew that, it's normal for your kids to have potty issues till like, some kids can have it until they're like 8 or 9.
That's where the good nights underwear comes in handy. But anyways, that's another topic.
I know exactly. I'm like, I like those.
But that's all they brand very well for that, though. They brand their voices based around that. I mean, I've done several campaigns for Good Nights Underwear when I worked with another blogger. I was always the ghostwriter for her, but I knew their voice, and that was very important to them, is that they had that specific voice shared as being a reliable source for kids that are older than what is typically acceptable in society, still having bedwetting issues at night. And their voice was to make the kids comfortable and the parents comfortable about that issue, and providing quality service and quality products to help the parents out with that.
Yes.
And that was their primary voice, and they wanted that to be known for that. And their colors of their products actually go along with that theme and that branding. So those are some great examples of keeping within your brand all the way across the board, from both the logos to the voice to what messages you share and how you share it and when you share it. So we haven't had any other questions. We've had some great comments about great suggestions. I'm glad. I warn my teenagers about that all the time. But your blog is what you make it. Your blog and the brand that you choose to have is what you're going to make it to be. So.
Yeah. And I think that the biggest thing is to have consistency, but realize that there are times where you're going to step out of that consistency. It's just like regular life, right? Like,
yeah,
your life sometimes is not consistent.
It's hard to make it consistent.
Yeah, sometimes there's big potholes, and sometimes you want to share those on your blog. So feel like you can.
All right. Well, I have nothing else to add.
I think we had a good discussion, though. Guys, so if you're watching a replay of this, make sure and add your comments and questions, because we're happy to answer those. We come back and we'll look through them and make sure that we answer them. And again, if you are just a viewer and you're not part of the Blogging Tidbits group, you can check out what Blogging Tidbits is at bloggingtidbits.com. And should we close out, Crystal?
Yes.
Okay. So I am Pepper from pepperscraps.com.
And I am Crystal from tidbitsofexperience.com. Sorry for all the chaos here.
And this is bloggingtidbits.com. Our live hangouts are once a week, except for the last week of the month, we do a Twitter party. So make sure you join us on there also. So goodbye.